Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Just Plain Living. I'm John Gray.
Good morning. I'm Peggy Burton.
And I'm Jim Fuller.
I'm so glad you're back again.
It's been kind of nice. This is my third week, I think.
Yeah.
So
we're just going to keep you keeping on.
He's back. People were thinking you might have passed away or something.
Yeah, they did in Shelbyville particularly.
You just been
The
high.
horse show people did. Yeah. So
4th of July this
Right,
weekend.
that was in my head.
Yeah.
It seems like it came quickly this year. I'm always excited about the 4th of July.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And look where we are compared to last year.
Oh, I
It
know.
really
And this
makes
year
it,
it's going to be
couldn't-
close to normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have big
Whatever that
plans
is.
at the high school over there.
I
The city
know.
does. That's going to be on the 3rd.
Uh-huh.
They'll have bands and great fireworks and all kinds of. It's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And
Just
it's rain
wide
or
open.
shine, come rain or come shine, it's
Come
going to
rain
be
or
on.
come shine. Come rain or
Or
come shine. We can turn it all
I'm
into a
excited
song.
about that because it seemed a little dull last year without
Right.
the,
Without that
the
stuff
fireworks
going
and
on.
all the music and
And I know a lot of cities and stuff had them, but nobody was there. And how much fun is that?
none.
You know, people are. I mean, the city's spending all that money in Nashville and New York and all that, shooting all that stuff off, and nobody there.
And nobody there.
Nobody's there.
No, they watched it at home. They
Very
everybody.
few people were out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I have a cousin that lives in an apartment in New York, and he's a lot younger than me, of course, but he said he would walk his dog and not a living soul would be on a street that's usually just jammed with people.
Yeah.
I might have told you, said this last week. I don't remember. We were in Nashville and drove down Broadway last week, and I bet there are 100,000 people on Broadway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Downtown.
Oh, yeah, they're all back.
They are wide
Everybody's
open
back.
down there. Absolutely wide.
I remember it used to be eerie during the pandemic, probably May, June last year, you know. I'd go home at night and usually there was all kinds of activity and it's like the streets were deserted.
Just
because
deserted, yeah.
Yeah, because, there's nobody out.
Jackson Street was that way.
Jackson Street particularly.
I got a notice from the senior building, if anybody's interested, that it's going to open up again on the 6th of July. And they have a lot of restrictions in place, but they are going to be open, which I think is very good.
Yeah. They've been out of commission for a long time.
For a long time.
Over a year.
Yeah.
It's been well
Yeah.
over a year. I
So-
think you have to wear a mask, and I think you have to sit 3 to a table if you're there for dinner. 6 feet between each other as much as possible. But
Yeah.
they're going by some rules and regulations for a while.
Yeah.
But at least they're opening.
Well, yeah, and the people folks they cater to are probably in the most high risk age group of folks.
Well, and
so-
most of them should have had.
but
vaccines by
the
now.
same token, most of them have had vaccines.
They're the group of people that have shots.
Yeah, right.
So
So,
shoot, it's crazy. It's crazy good out there. Folks are making money again, and if
Right.
they'll go to work.
right.
There's a whole lot of
there's
people won't
shortage
go
of
to
people,
work.
Yeah, absolutely. So people,
It's just so strange to me that people aren't out grabbing jobs while they're available.
Everybody needs help right now. You can go in front of any business in town and it says help wanted.
yeah, and then there's been businesses that have not been able to open or had to curtail
Because they
their
don't have
hours
help.
because they don't have any employees.
They've got that government check. They're used to getting that government check. I ain't gonna work. I got the government check.
Well, that was a good thing for a while.
Well,
And they
yeah,
did,
but not if it keeps people from going back to work.
well, I said for a while.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
that time's
right.
probably past now. So,
And a lot of people just don't want to work.
yeah.
Have forgotten how to work, what it means to work.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of them
Well,
have never worked.
Yeah, and if you remember that when this thing started, we had record low unemployment anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Most
Yeah.
people had a job,
Yeah.
wanted one, and
That's true.
So,
But the thing about it is, and what we're realizing is that this pandemic that we've gone through has changed a lot of stuff probably forever.
yeah,
There are businesses that have failed that will never come back, and new businesses that were born out of it that will flourish and succeed. So if you're a working person, you may never find the job you had before ever again.
Yeah.
Because of the
So
changes. So you're
reinvent
right.
yourself.
Yeah.
You know, educate yourself. Look and see what's out there, and make yourself available and learn how to do whatever it is.
Frankly, I think there's always a job. You just have to be willing to change what you want to do sometimes.
A lot of people are looking for a position, and positions usually don't. A lot of times, the word work doesn't go along with. They're looking for a career, but not work.
Oh, okay.
They're looking for a career paycheck, but not
Who are
work.
they?
Not work. You know, work and a career or a position
Are
are
sort of two
often
different things.
two completely different things.
Yeah, I've had people tell me that people like John and I, particularly because of our involvement in public kind of stuff, including that was our job at one time.
They didn't think you worked, though.
I thought, well, you guys
Yeah.
got it made.
You just people out there
and most
playing.
people didn't realize that John and I, for the most part, always had more than one job.
Oh, three. As many as three.
As many as three, you know, and so it wasn't a no gravy train.
No,
necessarily.
this right here, this kind of stuff, what we're doing right here, is I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Because of today, I'm gonna read this because this is in there. I'm a veteran of life, allowing me to be vetted in many disciplines. A veteran of above average public education, a hobbled veteran of numerous sports teams, a veteran of several self-serving religious dogmas, and a couple that actually understand the mission, a veteran of many nonprofit organizations, and also several business ventures that turned out to be nonprofit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's the line about
Right.
that.
happens
This
a
is a
lot.
nonprofit, folks. A veteran creative where money doesn't equal success. Veteran of interaction with two families and a long marriage. Enough said. I'm a veteran of many things proudly. I'm a veteran of the United States Army National Guard. That puts me in a group of selfless individuals who have served our country, sacrificing life and limb to secure the freedom that allows us to be veterans of whatever we choose in America. To secure the freedom that allows us to do whatever we choose in America. I'm proud to be a veteran and thank my brothers and sisters who have served. Happy 4th of July.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're veterans of business ventures that have turned into nonprofits.
It's well, you know, and it's kind of funny, and I have to say that John and I have never been one really to focus on money
No, not that
exclusively, and so you know it's been a lot of fun along, you know, getting here.
I wrote a song one time that my brother Jerry and I did. Money don't buy happiness. I'm gonna give all mine. Money ain't nothing but trouble. The more you get, the more trouble you get into.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give all mine away.
Yeah.
Have
You know,
you done that?
speaking of giving
Yeah,
your money
good
away, a
song.
lot of people have given their money away in broken marriages and that kind of thing.
Right.
You know, but I had a buddy one time, John. I'm not going to call his name, but he had a lot of money and had been very successful and built a couple of businesses from the ground up, and had done quite well in life. And he and his wife of many years were getting a divorce, and it was dragging out and dragging out and dragging out. And of course, you have to pay lawyers and such
Oh, yeah.
things to go on. And finally, at some point during the negotiations, their meeting, both of their lawyers were there, and they were there. And at some point during that meeting, the guy gets up and he says, "You know what? I'm going to solve this problem right now. She can just have everything."
Oh, wow.
And his lawyer says, no, wait a second, you can't do that. He said, yeah, I can, because if we keep going like this, you guys, speaking of the lawyers, will have all the money.
That's true.
And to tell you the truth, she hadn't been a bad wife, and I'd rather her have it as you give it all to you. So,
I love that.
End of story. And he honestly
So he
did
walked
that
out with nothing.
and started over again and
Well, good
became
for him.
very successful again.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but it was quite a novel approach. Bandy, John, did very well
Yes,
last
they
night
did.
as they kicked off the first game of the College World Series, a big 8-2 2 victory, I think.
That's
So,
pretty fabulous.
yes, it is.
I saw some pictures of the Sheffield brothers
Yes, I think.
on the internet. They were in the same ball game against different teams as
Oh,
professionals.
yeah.
I don't think they pitched against each other, but they were both in the same stadium,
Yeah.
and their teams were playing against each other. And of course, big baseball had a field day with that because that just doesn't happen that often.
No, it doesn't.
That brothers from
I
the
know,
same
the
town
Sheffield
Right.
boys are making us look
are in the
great.
bigs.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm proud for them.
I am
You know, and they're
too.
both doing. They're
Yeah.
both having pretty good seasons.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that. What are they? 2
I
years
think if
apart
I'd have
in
been the
age.
coach, I'd have had to put them both in there.
Yeah.
Right, just
Yeah.
I bet big baseball wanted them both to play.
I bet they did too. I mean, baseball is probably not as popular maybe as it was at one time. I still like it, but
Yeah, but it's not America's sport like it was.
No, not like it used
there
to
wasn't
be
any.
back then.
It wasn't anything else.
right, right. But that what a PR
oh my
bonanza
goodness,
that
yeah.
would have been.
And
So,
we have the Olympics coming up,
yeah,
and I've been following that a
I've
little
been
bit.
watching that a lot. yeah.
And the thing that's amazing about that is we have some ladies that are in their 40s
They're
right.
running.
that are making the Olympic team and whipping all these little young little girls. I mean, it's amazing the age of some of these people who have made it into the Olympic
Yeah.
camp.
right.
Well,
don't
and
you know
great
that-
stories.
That's a tremendous amount of work to be able to get yourself
Oh,
ready for that
absolutely.
kind of thing. So
And then sometimes some physical thing happens and they can't
yeah,
Right at the end,
do it. I know,
you've trained your
that's
whole life,
yeah,
So sad.
and you
Yeah.
break something,
right,
and you can't go.
right.
Can't go. It's
That's
And it's it. It's over because you
Yeah.
got that, and some of them. That's why I think some of the older ones are there because they last year it was supposed to be the Olympic year, but it didn't happen because
They
of the
didn't get to do
pandemic.
it.
And some of them it's their last shot.
they just kept training and
Yeah.
there they are. I hope they win.
So before we go, I want to read something else about our country. I'm from a country that allows all who live here to be free. Free to learn, free to grow in whatever direction you choose, knowing that your success is only bridled by the amount of work you put into developing your road to happiness. But society doesn't always define success with happiness. A decision must be made who is most important to please on your journey across the pond of life. Should you be the stone that falls in the middle of the pond, makes a big splash, then sinks to the bottom, or the ripple that touches every grain of sand on the pond's edge? I'll choose to be the ripple. We'll be back after these messages.
Clayton's has been Tullahoma's shoe store for over 120 years, and Florence Hall continues that tradition today. We're the only shoe store in town that starts with measuring your foot to make sure you get the perfect fit in a quality shoe. That includes narrow through wide widths for men, women, and children. Clayton Shoes, the family shoe store you'll love.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
My husband was diagnosed with a spinal infection. He lost his ability to swallow and the movement of his legs.
I couldn't turn over in bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat.
They were just wonderful in the treatment and care they gave my husband.
I regained my mobility where I was able to go home.
It is miraculous.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Talking history about this and that. It's Conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat.
Hello everyone, I'm John Rickman.
And this is Pat Welch and John. We are here today for segment 83 of the Conversations of John and Pat.
Marching to 100, Pat.
Marching to 100. It's going to be a great event.
The Wilburn brothers were somebody that I listened to when I was young. They were in the 50s, 60s, this sort of thing. My brother and I knew some of their songs, and this is one that I'd like to bring up.
Kind of dream that y'all might be on the...
We live 40 miles south of Nashville. We always thought 31A might lead us right straight to the capital of country music.
Wow.
And it did lead us there. You know, we couldn't stick.
But you made it.
We made it a little bit.
I like that story, John, that y'all got on the Grand Ole Opry. We got to take any pictures, but you felt like you'd be going back. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to go back.
We thought, and that was August 22nd, 1980. I know it just as well as my marriage date, my birthday. But we went.
Maybe not quite as
no, but
embedded in your memory as.
But we went, we played, we did good. You know, they applauded for a total of 16 seconds. 16 seconds is a lot. 1001, 1002. They kept. I mean, they saw that we.
I don't know if the clapping at the conclusion of our shows has been that long.
But this is the Wilburn Brothers song.
Lay it on.
Roll, muddy river, roll on, muddy river, roll on. I've got a notion you'll go to the ocean alone. I've got a baby in Tennessee who's long been a-waiting for a little old me. So roll, muddy river, roll on, muddy river, roll on. New Orleans into old St. Louis, Stockton, Memphis, Minneapolis too. Back in Nashville I'll be through, so roll, muddy river, roll on. I love you, but just call it fate. You and I are gonna separate. You'll be here, but she won't wait. So roll, muddy river, roll on. Roll, muddy river, roll on. Roll, muddy river, roll on. Muddy river, roll on. I've got a notion you'll go to the ocean alone. Well, I've got a baby in Tennessee who's long been a-waiting for little old me. So roll, muddy river, roll on, muddy river, roll on, roll on.
Good, John. And
Wilburn Brothers, Teddy and Doyle. Teddy and Doyle. You know, when they died, like a lot of music industry folks have passed away in the last few years, old singers. It's like somebody in the family died. Yeah.
Idols, almost. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if there were so much idols as there were just people that we sort of recognized and knew on television. You know, we recognized their voices.
Emulated and desired to be like.
To tell you the truth, I don't know any of the voices out there today. That's sad, but I don't. Everything is. I listen to talk radio a lot, and to lots of other things.
Well, at one point we used the song as a segue, and sometimes we had to stretch. And today I did see a stretch from your words, the reminders up here, about a muddy river and Memphis.
Yeah.
So remember that part of the
exactly.
song, and I'm gonna bring that back into my.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed. We have had several historical parts on the Civil War, John, before, and we've always made a real good disclaimer that we were not going to take sides and decide which cause was correct and so on and so forth, but we were going to recognize the valor and the sacrifice that both sides went through in the Civil War. And you've got a member of your family that had a horrific injury during the Civil War fighting for the South. And but today we're going to counteract that subsequent stories. We're going to talk about a story from the Union side. And I have mentioned several times that in my travels for my wholesale lumber company that I represent, there's a church between Seymour and Maryville in a very rural area, and that area I believe was the whole area is called Eusebia, and there's a Presbyterian church there that was started in the 1700s, and that I believe
That's a pretty church,
It's
Pat.
a beautiful church. And there can't be 300 people living in that community now, but the church has been such a focal point of that area that there's over 1,000 people buried there. Show that. See if we can see that, Philip. That picture number 2. That's just a small part of it. And if you look in the back, kind of the right side, you can see some mountains. Those are the Smokies. And if you come from the entrance of that church out, and it's facing the graveyards in the front of the church, it's a spectacular view of the Smokies.
You know, a
from
lot
the
of
church.
communities like that, Pat, were thriving communities back in the day.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were
Back
at some
in the
point. It doesn't matter how small the community is, if it's existed for long enough, you're going to have plenty of people passing away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say a third to, at some points, maybe even 40% of the stones they'll never be able to read them. They're weathered, it's absolutely slick. But I'd say about every 4 or 5 times I go through there, which is every other week, I'll have enough time to just pull over around that church and go in the graveyard, and I almost always find something that's really interesting, and a lot of it's Civil War. And I found a member of the 3rd Tennessee Cavalry, which was Union Cavalry, and that section of the state was very loyal to the Union, and Andrew Johnson, who became president following Lincoln, he was the Union side governor equivalent of Tennessee, though of course he'd just been to represent basically people in Upper East Tennessee. But anyway, this past time I came through, I got into section. I say there's over 1,000 graves there. I got into section in the graveyard. There was a tremendous amount of Pickens, Pickens. Was the name of the family. And once I started looking some of them up, it got to really picking my interest. There was a whole lot of the Pickenses, and I'll get into in a minute, that again served in the 3rd East Tennessee Cavalry Regiment. And one of the field officers, the highest ranking was Colonel William C. Pickens, and found his stone. And Philip, let's go to picture number 4. William C. Pickens is that stone. He was born in 1825 and passed away in 1872, and was the field commander for this cavalry regiment, which was fairly large. His father was Samuel Pickens, and that is picture number 3, Philip. There we go. He was judge of Sevier County, which I think this section that's in Blount County, where this church is now, at that time was part of Sevier County.
Pat, did you do something to that stone to make those words?
Somebody else did.
That's really.
Yeah. That's he lived from 1799 to 1862. Died during the middle of the war. He had another son, Samuel Wiley Pickens, who was a major. And also served under he served under his brother and served in that same cavalry regiment. And his picture, Philip, is number 5. And there's his in his Union uniform. He lived from 1830 to 1906. And they were originally mustered out of, I believe, Murfreesboro. Let me see. We will make sure we're telling what we're supposed to be. And soon after that, they picked up the company of the first part of that cavalry was from Upper East Tennessee was Company A. By the time they were mustered in Murfreesboro, they were added B, C, D, and E. So the regiment's growing big time. And they spent most of their action was in West Tennessee and then down into Mississippi. They came back to the Murfreesboro area after the Battle of Stones River, when the Union, of course, had Bragg retreat out of that. And they, at some point, towards the end of the war, that regiment got into lower Middle Tennessee and then into northern Alabama, and they got cornered by Nathan Bedford Forrest Confederate cavalry, and on September 24th of 1864, men under Samuel Wiley, whose grave we showed, that was a younger brother of the colonel, the Major S.W. Pickens, he and 150 of his men were captured around Athens. And just above Athens the next day was a really small area called Sulphur Trestle. And at that time, Forrest captured another 400 of them on September the 25th. And as the war went on, and a lot of exchange, as it was obvious the South was going to be defeated, the officers were exchanged, so they gained their freedom December 15th. So I know Samuel W. was captured. I'm not sure about his brother William C. The rest of those men that were in that company, and almost all the ones from Upper East Tennessee, then were going to be released, and they were taken out of a prisoner of war camp and put on a boat in Memphis, which then brings me into the segue of the song. And this was in the spring, I believe, in April of 1865. And the Mississippi, of course, was from the spring and floodwaters and so forth, was flowing really fast south. The boat is having to go north, and somehow, I don't know who is to blame, but the name of the boat was the Sultana, and it was over double occupancy rate that was supposed to be in.
Because they were getting so much money for every passenger.
That's I would hate to bring that human frailty up, but you're probably right, John. But they weren't far out of Memphis, and one of the boilers exploded, and a whole lot of those men were killed. It's over 1,000, and I believe it was something like 175 of the Union cavalry members from Upper East Tennessee were killed. In fact, I could not find the stone, but I did find some records that one of Pickens, another relative of these two officers, that was not he was not exchanged with the other officers. He lost his life in that explosion. And then, for a little bit of a side note, there was a not related closely, not another brother or a son of these two officers, is a Dr. Thomas H. Pickens, who was buried in that cemetery in that same area where all these Pickenses are buried in Eusebia. And he lived from 1864 to 1897. And he was 32 when he died, and I found a mention on findagrave.com that this Dr. Pickens was killed and shot by Dr. McPherson. And that's the only note I could find about his death, and I have spent several hours of time, and maybe I'm a little bit too fixated on it, trying to find out what happened there.
But it looks like they broke the Hippocratic Oath.
There was some kind of problem there, because the Dr. McPherson was not tried. Well, I mean, I've researched and researched, and you can't find anything other than Dr. Pickens was killed by Dr. McPherson when he was only 32 years old. And we will leave our listeners and viewers to their imagination what in the world could happen where a man wasn't tried for murder.
That was interesting, Pat. Yeah. East Tennessee, the Union Army, and we're going to talk about the Southern Army here before long.
We're going to pick up the Southern Army, and we're going to talk about the valor of one of his relatives, and I'm eagerly anticipating that. And this was closed out segment 83. We're not done. Management is desiring us to get to at least 100, and we can hardly wait. Thank you all.
Talking history about the Sandman. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
I am tremendously blessed to be living at Parkview and very happy to be part of a loving and caring community.
Best thing you can say is this really a great place to live. That's all there is to it, no doubt about that.
It's your home. You just do what you would if you were at your private home. You know, we love it. It's great.
It's just like having a whole neighborhood around you, and it's fun.
It's just a great place to live.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
Hello, I'm Ray Norris, Mayor of Tullahoma. I want to thank the citizens of Tullahoma who've been following CDC guidelines for helping prevent the spread of COVID-19. You've been wearing your mask, you've been getting your vaccinations, and I'll tell you, it's working. Today, our positivity rate is less than 5%. That's the lowest it's been since the earliest days of our pandemic. So, now I want to urge each of you to continue to follow these guidelines, and together, let's get this pandemic behind us and get our country back to the old normal where we need to be. Thank you.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, folks, we're back, and I'm absolutely tickled to death to have our mayor, Mr. Ray Norris, with us this morning. And, you know, he's a busy guy, and we just don't get him as often as we'd like to. But it's 4th of July weekend. We're getting ready to have some firework things. What we want to talk about this morning, what I want to talk about mostly, is the comprehensive growth plan that has been decided to be implemented or to be researched. A group has been put together to research that. Now we're looking for information, right?
That's correct. John, we do have a comprehensive development plan in progress. We have a steering committee that has been formed to help guide that process. We have hired a consultant, the Walker Collaborative Group, who have 3 actual specialties, subcontractors that will be bringing transportation and the different disciplines, economic development. And anyway, there'll be Phil Walker is the head of that organization and has some great experience. But the main thing about the comprehensive development plan, we want it to be something that our citizens want for our future, not what some consultant wants for our future. Right. But we're going to be getting information, bringing all the people to the table to find out, what do you see for the next 20 years for Tullahoma? So there's going to be a meeting on... Our next meeting, our kickoff meeting, is going to be on July the 6th at 5:30. at the Tullahoma High School at the small auditorium there, and the public is invited.
That's a week from today.
A week from today. That's the day after the 4th of July.
There you go.
So that's the way that works. But we're looking forward to getting that started. We think that, you know, comprehensive development plans are not something that you do today and then look at them again in 20 years. They're a living body and you continue to grow them. Too many times you have a strategic plan and you have today here's our strategic plan and you put it in the drawer. We don't want to do that in Tullahoma. We want it to be a continual process. Continual improvement is one of the catchwords that we want to go by.
You know, looking back, I remember my dad was chairman of the Regional Planning Commission back in the 60s, and I have a plan for a bypass around Tullahoma that was done back in the 60s. And it seems to me throughout the years we plan and we hire, and we had some people come in about downtown, and we plan and we listen and we talk, but nothing ever happens. And I believe a lot of times it's just because of what you said. There's some people come in here from somewhere else, tell us what we're supposed to do, and the citizens go, wait a minute, we don't want to do that. So you're very smart now to have this citizen involvement. There'll also won't there be some neighborhood meetings and some things that go on after this kickoff to be sure that the citizens get heard?
That's the way. This is the kickoff meeting. That means there's going to be continual meetings, and they're going to be from all quadrants of the city. We're not just looking at one particular part of town to get input from, but we want to hear from all the citizens. And the consultants that we have in town they're not bringing us a plan. They're guiding us and helping us develop a plan for us. So we want to make sure that it's not something that a consultant is bringing to us and saying, here's your comprehensive development plan. That's not the way it will work.
Because that's one that they did in Apalachicola, Florida, or somewhere else. It's already set up and easy to do. These guys are going to work for their money, aren't they?
Well, that's our intent.
Yeah,
that's our intent for sure. But,
good.
We will be. We have to educate them somewhat as to what is Tullahoma. What is Tullahoma about? They need to know more. They can't just look at us from 30,000 feet. They've got to come and we'll be doing that the very first day. Before we have the kickoff meeting, we'll be spending a half a day with them just looking at Tullahoma and the various areas in the town, so they see what we are. So anyway, we're excited about that. But anyway, that's a comprehensive development plan that we think will guide us for the next 20 years.
And so if you want to know what's going on or what will be going on in this town 20 years from now, show up at that meeting at Tullahoma High School next Friday at 5 o'clock.
5:30.
5:30.
That's right.
And you'll have an opportunity to hear. You'll have an opportunity to give input.
Absolutely.
And no matter what your zip code or your address is, it makes no difference. You're a citizen of Tullahoma, you get to come speak your piece.
That is correct.
And
you're invited.
And at ongoing meetings after this.
Correct.
So what do we have? What do we have new? We have anything new on the construction side, or any new news about people coming to town that you can share with us?
We do have 2 new subdivisions that are in the works right now. One of the new subdivisions is about a 14 unit development going on out in our urban growth boundary area, which is out on the Old Manchester Highway at the intersection with the Rutledge Falls Road. That's is on the works right now, just outside of town. In town, on Country Club Drive, at the intersection of Country Club Drive and Ovoca Road, a new subdivision that's being plotted right now. There's some 12 lots along Country Club Drive that's being developed as we speak. Country Club Drive, just as you get to Ovoca Road. As you drive to the intersection of Ovoca Road from Country Club Drive, you look across Ovoca Road, there's a new subdivision called Pinnacle Point going in there with some 25 units going in right there. So there's lots of development going on in construction right now. And it's sorely needed.
Right.
And let me make our viewers aware also that before the Planning Commission last night, we announced a public hearing for our next board meeting, which will be on July the 26th. We'll not be meeting on the 12th as we would normally, but on July the 26th, we'll have a public hearing on an apartment rezoning from R1 to R3. That's over on 704 Forest Drive. There'll be some conversation about that because it's in an area that is a residential area, but going from R1 to R3, there'll be some conversation about that, and we want to hear everyone that has an opinion about that. But it has been recommended by the Planning Commission to make that change. It'll be recommended from the Planning Commission to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to make a change from R1 to R3 in that location. One of the things that we continually need in Tullahoma is relatively affordable housing.
Right.
Not everyone can afford a $350,000 house.
Right.
And some of these houses that I've talked about, they'll be in that category. But these will be units that is affordable housing. So that's one of the things that we are in probably the greatest need for.
And that's great because that increases our tax base for the town and gets us a little bit more housing in here. Building materials get bought
if you can afford them. Yes.
Yeah.
We just passed a budget last night on third reading. We passed a $29 million budget for the city. $11 million that, of course, goes to schools.
Right.
But the important thing about that budget is about an equal amount comes from sales tax and an equal amount from property tax.
Right.
The thing about this money that comes in for sales tax gets split in with the county, added in with the county, and then a portion based on average daily attendance to the schools. Thing about property tax, the city gets to keep all the property tax that they collect
inside the city.
And property taxes, we are in need of property tax increases in the city, but we do not want to raise the property tax rate. We want to increase the base, and that's my premise for raising money in the city, is with property tax, increase the base, not the rate.
Tell me again what schools have to do with sales tax.
Sales tax that's collected in the city, Manchester, Tullahoma, and the county all get pooled into a pool. Mm-hmm. Then there is a percentage of that sales tax that gets allocated to schools, and it's allocated to the schools based on their average daily attendance. It turns out that Tullahoma gets about a third of that, and it turns out the schools are almost equal in size, so in daily attendance, so it's what gets apportioned based on their average daily attendance.
That's just a portion of the sales tax, not all of it.
That's correct. There is a certain percentage, don't know the number,
right, okay.
A certain percentage of sales tax goes to schools. And all that portion that goes to schools, it gets put into the pot in the county, and a certain amount of that gets allocated for administrative purposes, goes to the state, part goes to the county, but the small part, the remaining part gets apportioned to the schools based on their average daily attendance.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sales tax, the city gets to keep all the sales tax that they collect. So, increasing property tax, city gets to keep all the property tax.
All that.
So that's a big push for me. Certainly is to increase our property tax.
And Big Lots is bigger and it's open.
Big Lots is bigger and it's open, and we opened that a week ago last Saturday. Yeah. They have a grand reopening there, and that was a pretty nice event. It's a very nice store. I was not really familiar with what the store was going to look like, but it's really an asset to our city.
We had forgotten, who roamed around in it, how big that Kmart building was. It is housing two very, very large stores right now.
Yes, that's correct.
And it's great to see that piece of property, again, vibrant.
Yes.
And cars parked there. I know when Hobby Lobby opened, I drove through there, and over probably 60% of the cars were from different counties in Coffee County.
I'd say significantly over 60%, actually.
Right.
It turns out, John, I may have mentioned this to you earlier or before, that if you take a 30-mile radius around Tullahoma. That's about the commute time that people will go to a restaurant, to a play, to eat anything.
Right.
Anyway, that's that, and you'll drive to a Hobby Lobby for 30 minutes. Ask my wife; she does that when she goes to Murfreesboro.
Now
Hobby
she
Lobby.
doesn't have to
She
do
doesn't
that,
have to do
does
that.
she?
But I think Hobby Lobby probably had that in mind when they chose Tullahoma as a place to open. But if you draw that circle and you'll touch 11 counties. In those 11 counties, you have 850,000 people. We're bigger than Chattanooga, bigger than Huntsville.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
That's
so
why-
anyway, that was a real draw there. So
That's what those people who plan to come here see.
so we welcome them.
Yes, we do.
We welcome them. John, I want to take 1 minute and talk about, we haven't talked about this earlier, but last Saturday, Arnold Engineering Development Center had their 70th anniversary.
did.
And the public was invited to tour the base, and it was a crowded event. There were lots of people going through the base, seeing what goes on inside the fence.
Right.
And that was an opportunity for me to go back there. I was there a long time ago as an employee, but to go back and see Arnold Center, while they're doing new things every day, so much of it was still the same.
Right.
There's still so many of the wind tunnels are still the same as they were when I was there. But that was a real opportunity for the public to go inside the gate at AEDC and see what a resource that is and what it means to our community.
Oh, everything.
Arnold Engineering Development Center last year contributed $620 million to our economy in the state. So what would we ever do without
Without
Arnold
that?
Center? So that's $620 million is a pretty good chunk.
We'd all be glad the railroad was here because we'd be getting on it to leave town.
That's about it.
Ray Noes, thank you, my friend.
My
Happy
pleasure, John.
4th of July,
Thank
and we
you, and same to you.
appreciate your leadership.
Well, thank you, John.
And of our town, and just keep the wagon rolling, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate
All right.
it. Anytime.
We'll be right back after these messages.
I had a knee replacement, so they've got me at Life Care, which I'm very, very thankful for. I couldn't garden, I couldn't do my flower beds, I can't chase my little dogs. I have been in several therapy sessions for knees and back, and that's the best therapist I believe I've ever been to. It's tremendous because I'm able to walk again, but if it wasn't for the care, I wouldn't be where I am.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
The individuals with dementia, those with Parkinson's, those that have maybe mobility issues, need caregivers. Well, those caregivers are 24 hours a day at home, and they never get a rest. And if they have to go to work, they're kind of out of luck. So that's why Trinity came into existence 25 years ago, to allow the caregivers to have a safe center where they could put their loved ones, know they would be well cared for, stimulated, fed good nutritious meals, have activities to their level, and then the caregiver can stop by and pick them up and go on home and have some continuity into their life.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. It's a Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back. I have on the set with me two of my favorite sisters in all the world. Pam on the end there and Brenda in the middle, and they're with the National Association of Mental Health and Mental Illness.
It's National Alliance on Mental Illness, but that's okay. That's all right.
And I'm so glad you came.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate it.
I wanted to know, you all have stayed open with your meetings.
Yes.
During the pandemic.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Get right off. Tell about what it is you do and when you meet and that sort of thing.
Well, we have a support group that meets the first Thursday of every month. In that support group is basically for the caregiver, but we also have a person that is trained in Bridges, which Bridges is for the person with the mental illness.
And is that going on simultaneously?
Yes.
In a different room or a different space?
Because a lot of times they come together, but if your person with the illness is sitting next to you, you're not going to be totally honest.
Right.
And our group is so that you can share what you need to share.
Exactly what you need to share.
And get it out of your system.
I'm not sure everybody realizes what a blessing that is, or what it does for you to just be able to say to another human being that's going to understand what it is you're going through.
It's hard to talk to family and friends when you have a loved one with a mental illness because they don't understand.
And they don't want to hear it.
And they don't want to hear it.
That's true.
And life is difficult sometimes, and it just is such a relief to be able to share that with someone who is going through the same thing, who knows what you're feeling, what you're experiencing.
Let's tell them where you meet.
We meet at the First Presbyterian Church in Manchester. It's 1101 Jackson. It's right by Food Lion, and we meet the first Thursday of every month at 6:30. We'll meet this Thursday.
And where do they enter? Front door or the side?
We'll have a sign. We'll have a sign in the yard.
It says NAMI meets here, and there's a sign.
And if you have any questions, email that address there or call. Whose phone number is that? Is it
That's
yours?
a Google Voice number, and it rings
okay.
both of our phones. It'll say, tell us your name, and you tell your name, and we...
Don't you think that a lot of times people don't realize that a situation in their family might have a mental illness? They can't quite put their finger on what makes that person a little different.
It's hard to recognize the symptoms sometimes. Even when I found out my daughter had extreme depression, when she was finally diagnosed with bipolar disorder, I didn't know what to do. I was totally in the dark, and anything you could have done wrong, I have done. I'm the queen.
And so this organization has saved your life.
Yes.
And saved your daughter's life.
It was a life changer for us both. Yes.
It kind of teaches you triggers, to know what triggers the person, or what upsets them, or how to talk to them. Because you don't talk at them, you talk to them.
You talk to them.
And you listen. You listen.
And just because they're screaming doesn't mean you should be screaming.
Correct. Usually if you lower your voice and you're not yelling back, then they will eventually calm down, hopefully.
So setting boundaries, that's important?
Yes, setting boundaries.
That's the hardest part.
And it's hard sometimes with somebody you love, and they maybe start screaming and crying, and you're thinking, oh, well, maybe this time I'll let this go.
Yeah, and you have to stick with, if you set a boundary, you have to stick with it. You can't give in.
That's the hardest
You know,
part.
I always wondered why my father knew that. I don't think there was anything like this going on back in his time, but if he said no, he meant no.
Right.
He wouldn't change his mind, and,
Yep.
and I admire that.
Yep.
I think parents need to listen to that
Yes.
philosophy. So you all meet for how long?
For 2 hours.
For 2 hours.
From 6:30 to 8:30.
And I think you usually have a little snack or something. Do you encourage people?
We
Oh, you're
didn't.
quit doing
we
that.
didn't during the COVID, but we're bringing a little bit back, bit by bit.
And you sort of, people can feel free to take a break
Sure.
if
have
they need to.
Have coffee. We have water. We have snacks.
And I know you said you were in a great big open space, so
It's
if
a
people are
huge
worried
fellowship
about
hall.
COVID,
So we can distance
yeah,
if,
you can
if
wear a
people want
mask
to
and
distance.
it's a wonderful organization. I've been to the meetings, and I have been gifted by what I learned when I went.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud you all, and I need to go back. I'm so proud that you keep going and keep pushing, because there's so much mental illness that's not even
Yes.
recognized in our communities.
What keeps me motivated is I've never ever forgotten how isolated and alone I felt when my daughter was going through the bad times, and I never ever have forgotten that, and that's what keeps me going. I don't want other people
feel
feeling
that
what
way.
I felt, and if I can make a difference,
It's
then
devastating.
I want to.
And we also, one of the reasons we kept going, we tried to do it safely, is that during the pandemic is when people needed it the most.
Oh, they need it most.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, even people that don't have a mental illness, the pandemic was hard on everyone.
There's a lot to
if you
learn.
live by yourself, it's hard.
Depression, I think, probably sets in, and people don't even know it.
Yes.
I know I've not ever actually hardly recognized that maybe I was depressed when I might be sleeping a little more than usual and something like that, and then I'll get a hold of myself and go run 3 miles.
There's a lot of things you can do. Doing physical things is great for depression because it stimulates serotonin in the brain. Walking, running, riding a bicycle.
Plus, it makes your heart better, and
Yes.
it gives you a longer life.
Yes, yes,
So
but
there's so many pluses.
Yes.
And one thing we want to bring up too is that bipolar, schizophrenia, whatever illness you have, it does not define you. It's not who you are.
So many people say, I'm bipolar, and I always correct them and say, you have bipolar. You are not bipolar. That does not define who you are.
It's like any other disease.
I'm not cancer. I have cancer.
Cancer, right.
I'm not heart attack. I had a heart attack. You know,
Exactly.
that's not who you are.
And that's a good point.
Yeah.
We all need to remember that. You're having a class starting. Did we talk about that?
No,
No, not
July
yet. Let's talk about your class.
31st, we're doing a, NAMI offers a class called Family to Family, and Pam and I teach it. It's for caregivers and loved ones who take care of someone with a mental illness, and
It's a Zoom
It's
class.
a Zoom class, and normally it's an 8-week class, but because summer's such a busy time, we're doing for a 4-week class. We're starting it on Saturdays. It'll run from 9 to 2:30 every Saturday, and we'll have a half-hour break for lunch, and we'll do 2 classes per Saturday, and it'll run till August 21st.
That's awesome.
If someone's interested in taking the class or wants to know more, they can call that number at the bottom of your screen.
We go into detail about medications, about the different mental illnesses that there are, how to avoid confrontation, the triggers. We cover a whole lot of stuff.
And there are certain communication skills that you can learn to help you be able to communicate with your loved one better and not trigger them.
Can you tell me what some of the triggers are with maybe
Sometimes
witness?
it can just be you.
Just the fact that you are
with our brother,
alive.
for whatever reason, I'm a trigger to him. He's our baby brother, and I'm the oldest, and I don't know if that has something to do with it or not, but I'm just personally a trigger to him. He doesn't believe anything I say,
That's
but he'll
interesting.
ask Brenda, and she'll confirm what I said. So we just figured it out that I'm the trigger, so I just try to.
Does he show anger?
Oh, yes.
So that's one. So that triggers the anger.
That triggers the
And
anger.
then you have to figure out a way to hopefully.
She just
calm
leaves
that
and
down.
calls me, and I take care of it.
Well, if I'm with him, because I take him a lot of times to his doctor's appointments and stuff, I just try to change the subject of whatever got him upset in the first place. We try to change the subject and go on, you know.
Because if you keep battling,
Oh, yeah.
it just escalates and escalates until finally you're both ready to tear your hair out.
Yeah. And I don't want to stop the car and put him out, you know, so.
There are hard diseases out there, and I think it's so wonderful that we have an organization which costs you nothing.
Everything NAMI,
It's absolutely
everything
free.
NAMI offers is free.
And it's important to investigate when you may have 3 children, and 2 of them go to class every day, and they come home and they make A's and B's, and they don't cause you any problem. Then you have another, and it's kind of weird. And that child may have one of those symptoms or one of those diseases, and it's so important not to let it go.
Correct.
Don't ever let it go, because it's so important. Oh my gosh, time is up. This is Pam and Brenda, and they have just enriched many lives in this community, and I hope you'll call that number or go on email there and find out about what's going on, and you might be interested in the Zoom class too.
Yes,
We'll
or
be
just-
back with other great information.
Thank you.
Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the paint. Uh-oh. I just knocked a tree over. This is the paint doctor. I got the color wheel. Now, you know what a color wheel is? It is the wheel at the paint works where you pick all your colors to paint your room. It could be a multicolored beard. It could be a underarm fan. You never can tell. One thing we do know is that it's time to paint. You know, you can make your wife very happy if you go to your house and paint some rooms, or you paint the outside of the house, the inside of the house. It makes them feel very good because you work hard for them, and they like that. All women like to see their man sweat, you know? They do. Honeydew is what they do. And you get to do it too. So you go to the Paint Works at 1960 North Washington Street, and you see David Heikkinen over there, and he's the real paint doctor. He fix you up with color. It's so nice when the color is right. Go to Paintworks today. Martin Senor. See? Martin Senor. Right there. Martin Senor at the Paintworks. Bye, and we see you next time. I'm burning up.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network. All right, folks, we're back, and I'm proud to have my buddy Lyle with me here today.
Mr. Lyle Russell with Parks and Rec, and buddy, do you have a big week going on this week?
A big week is an understatement.
Tell it.
So we have, obviously, this weekend, 4th of July. We're doing our celebration on the 3rd, of course, but this is a big holiday weekend. It's one of our biggest events of the year. We're expecting about 10,000 people on Saturday. So it's the Tullahoma Regional Independence Day celebration, and we do that here at Grider Stadium. Of course, I believe this is our 5th or 6th year now doing this program. So we've got a great lineup of musicians, and it's just going to be a really good day.
Six Wire going to be here?
Yes, we'll have vinyl radio.
6 Wire.
Yeah, we'll have vinyl radio from 5 to 7. I was just on the phone with them this morning.
Wow.
And 6 Wire will be here right after that. They'll play up until the fireworks. Then we'll have our big world-class fireworks show, and then 6 Wire will finish the evening out and play about another hour set.
If you hadn't heard 6 Wire, you need to go down there. If you like music, these are Nashville cats that just sort of got together as a happenstance, and wow.
Yeah, they. My understanding is, I believe they all met each other when they played with Lee Greenwood. That's how they started, and then they just started playing together from there. And we've had them now. I believe this is their 3rd year coming back to see us on 4th of July.
And
so
nobody's disappointed about that.
No, we're happy to have them. They're good folks to work with, and we really enjoy having them. So, and I mean, like you said, fantastic musicians.
Oh yeah,
They're really good.
Well, and things. If you had, excuse me, if you hadn't been in a while, of course, last year was canceled.
Right.
But it's different than it used to be. Of course, for years we had the Kiwanis Club doing it, right? Mm-hmm. In the stadium, football stadium, and that went on for a long time, and then the whole thing kind of shifted, and a lot of people aged out of it.
Right.
A lot of these clubs that we have around town, the young people just don't get that involved in, and all of a sudden we're all getting too old to do it, and so things just sort of slowed down, and then that's when the city picked it up and helped and started putting it on inside the baseball field, right?
Correct, right. The event is inside the baseball field, and of course the fireworks are outside, but it's one of the best venues to see. I mean, you've got the stadium seating, you've got the whole field to sit on. The music stage is right there in front. I mean, it's a really cool setup. There's a lot of other cities that are envious of us because of the arrangement that we have.
I can remember Lyle going to Sufferdale in Nashville, and that was the baseball park back when I was a kid, and doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And the stage would be set up on the pitcher's mound on the infield, and James Brown was there, and Smokey Robinson was there, and I mean, it was a huge place to be, and it was just so that arena feeling.
Right.
Before there were arenas.
Correct. Right.
So you're getting the same thing here.
Yes. Yeah. We're trying to recreate that same feeling here, and based on previous attendance and comments and things that we've heard from people that have attended, it's as good, if not better, than any of the bigger cities around. So we're very proud of that.
And plus, if you can't get in there that afternoon, every parking lot on Jackson Street and here, all those parking lots will be full.
That's right.
People park and put their lawn chairs out and set up their grills.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, in 2019, they estimated that inside the field we had about 7,000 people, but they estimated the total attendance with cars and so on around was right at 11,000. So that shows you how many people park around and find places to sit where they've got a good view of the fireworks. So it's a big draw for the town, and we're very proud to be able to put that on and host the event. Man. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. So
well, y'all are surviving at Parks and Rec with a interim director.
We are
right now, JP.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm sure JP's doing a great job.
He is. He's doing very well. Of course, he picked right up where Kurt left off when he retired out, and we're still putting on events
right there.
And we're still trying to put on all the same world-class things that we've done before right here in little bitty 20,000 population Tullahoma.
Are we up to 20,000 now?
I think we're just under. I hadn't seen the census record yet.
Census
We're at 19 and change. Yeah, so we're right there at that number.
So what else is going on?
Well,
I know you have lunch and learns happening and other things happening.
Oh yeah. So the other programs don't stop just because of this one. So we've got, well, we have obviously the 4th of July celebration that's on the 3rd. Don't forget, it's not on the 4th. It's on Saturday the 3rd. And that starts at 3 o'clock. But then right afterwards, we go into our adult baseball league. And that this year is the largest league we've ever had. We've got 12 teams this year. Mostly local. We've got a couple coming from, far as Murfreesboro.
Baseball.
Yeah, so these are all the guys that I guess they played in either high school. There's some college players. A couple of them made it into minor league areas. There's some that have never played before at all. But they all get together every summer and we play adult league baseball. We've had anywhere from 4 to 7 teams usually, but this year I've got 12 teams.
Wow.
So,
and you have fields? You have enough fields?
We do. We're going to play at the Babe Ruth Field, Green Field over at Wagner Park, and also at Grider Stadium. The games, as of right now, the schedule is shaping out to be on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. All the games start at 6 o'clock. There'll be 2 games per evening, so if you want to come out and watch some baseball, if you're not able to get to a major league game, this is the next best thing.
So if you might have 4 different teams playing in one night at the same field.
That's correct.
It's not like a double header of the 2 teams. You've got 2 teams play, they pack up, and another 2 teams come and play the late game.
That's right.
So you see 4 different teams play.
You can.
I bet there's hot dogs and popcorn and
we're working on the concession side of that, and just trying to have a fun summer. The kids don't get to play baseball during the well, some do. The travel leagues and so on, but this is a good local group that these guys you should see the Facebook page. These guys love to give each other grief, but it is so much fun. It is so much fun.
I bet there's all kinds of stuff going on. And I can remember, I've always thought, when we would try out for Little League and stuff like that, these kids would be out there with gloves and hats and Mackinaws on and spitting snow.
Yeah.
And then when baseball season gets here, they're already through playing all their games.
Right, that's right.
And so summertime, which is baseball time.
It's when Major League plays.
Yeah.
They don't call them the boys of summer for nothing.
Yeah, that's it.
So having our league here, it's been a whole lot of fun. We try to recreate as good of a baseball experience as possible. We track the stats. We have a website set up. Oh yeah, and the players like to give each other a hard time about their stats. If one of them gets more hits than the other, the trash talking starts. But it's all in fun. It's a really good group of folks, and right now all the teams are full. But we are taking individual sign-ups if you want to be a utility player or just a pickup player in case somebody's out sick. We'll still take applications for that. You can find it on.
Do we have much of an adult softball league anymore?
Not so much softball, at least here in Tullahoma. I know there are some going around.
At one point, that was huge in this town.
Correct. Yeah,
we had national championship tournaments here in this town.
Yeah, that was before me.
There's Paul Keller and that. And I mean, these big teams had come in with the guys from Chicago and stuff, and every one of them. I mean, it was a home run fest. Just every one of them. They worked for some factory, and they didn't work.
Right.
Their job was to go play softball.
Right.
So I'm glad that we're bringing that summer sport back into town because it brought a bunch of money into town.
Oh yeah, and this year with the league being the size that it is, we do have some folks traveling. Most people are local, but what we found when we did the league during COVID, a lot of people said we shouldn't be doing it, but we took all the precautions necessary, and we actually had our league in 2020. And what I noticed, working the press box and working the games, is there was a lot of people that came out to watch those games because there wasn't anything else going on.
Right.
So they came out and got some baseball in. Everybody sat their distances and brought their lawn chairs, but they came out and watched baseball, and it was really good from my perspective to see that because it showed me that we were giving folks an opportunity to get out of the house when it was not easy to get out of the house.
And guess what? Some of those people who wouldn't have gone are probably still coming from time to time.
Oh yeah, we expect the crowds to be pretty good this year.
So it reawakened them to how much they enjoyed being at the ballpark.
Absolutely. And it doesn't need to be the big fancy, major league field. This is just right here, a local hometown league that these guys are out there having fun and doing what we do. So.
All right. Anything else?
One last thing, we did have a late addition for the Independence Day celebration. We are going to have the cornhole tournament. The Sports Council is going to have that. So if you are a cornhole player, come on out and join us.
Now that will be over in the park area, probably.
Yeah, that'll be over on the Fraser McHugh side where the Kiwanis Pavilion is. They'll be doing that outside.
Is that where
the fence.
food will be over there? What else is over there in that area?
Well, it'll be the kids zone up by the Rocket Park, and then we'll have the cornhole tournament on the Kiwanis side, and then all of the food vendors will be inside the stadium.
Okay.
There's a gate right there. It's real easy to get in and out. So.
Very good.
Yeah, get fed, have a drink, enjoy the show and the fireworks.
Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you and all you do for
Anytime.
our city. This guy's one of the best. We're so fortunate to have him. 3rd of July. Celebrate the 4th of July right here in Tullahoma. It'll be happening all day down there, so go get you some. Be safe, and we'll be right back after these messages.
What does caring look like? This is what caring looks like.
This is setting an example for others.
This is rising to the challenge.
This is doing what works.
This is doing my part.
This is doing your part.
Each of us individually.
Acting as one. Keeping your distance, no matter how awkward it may seem.
This is wearing a mask.
Over your nose and mouth,
like we are.
Keeping our distance.
Each wearing masks.
Not under your chin.
Not above your head.
Not in your hand, but over your nose and mouth.
This is listening to the expert. If you'll just
wear one of these.
Caring makes community.
And this is what caring looks like.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
The food at Parkview, well, I haven't had a bad meal there yet.
The food at Parkview is absolutely scrumptious. I mean, it is really good. It's just like home cooking.
And then there are the cookies. Oh my, they bake cookies every day, and they are super.
The food is truly incredible, and it's like being on a cruise ship.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
moment. It may be a few more than just a moment, but we're happy to be here again and share some news and some hysterical and historical facts about good old Tullahoma, Tennessee. I saw in the paper the other day where one of the beautiful old homes was being raised on North Jackson Street, the Freeman and Wooten House. And Tullahoma has had some beautiful homes back in its history, and on North Atlantic Street, that the first and second and third block of Atlantic Street, some big homes were built before the turn of the century that were built by railroad executives, and since there weren't a lot of good transportation at that time, the railroad office building was in the 100 block of North Atlantic next door to the First Baptist Church, and that was the railroad office building that the executives walked to work, and they lived in the first and second and third block of North Atlantic Street. The picture I'm holding in my hand here and sharing with you was a home that was built at 308 North Atlantic Street, and another one was next door to it at 312 North Atlantic Street. And there was a banker here by the name of Hickerson that had two daughters, and they were going to marry brothers, the Wrought brothers, Minnie and Alma Hickerson, and they married brothers, and their father gave them their residence, these beautiful homes there, as a wedding gift. And they were built in 1894, and the homes were right next to each other there, and they were 2 stories. Both of these homes had a full basement that was always dry. They were heated by grates, not stoves, but fireplaces or grates. They all had hardwood floors and beautiful marble fireplaces with beautiful wood and staircases, hickory and oak staircases, and the downstairs ceilings were 14 feet high. The upstairs ceilings were 10 feet high, and the attics in both buildings were fully sealed, so that you could even have extra space in the attics if you wanted to. This home was bought by my grandfather, W.J. Daddy Couch, in 1904, and because the Wrought brothers had left Tullahoma and it became available, and just by coincidence, Dr. Charlie Crouch from Springfield bought the house next door from the Wroughts, and about that same time he moved here from Springfield. And the Couches and Crouches were neighbors for many, many years. The houses were built by a wonderful builder, I think by the name of G.W. Stegall, that hand-selected every piece of material that went in these homes. And if you'll notice, there's a picket fence around this house, and the picket fences were around almost every house in Tullahoma to keep their stock in or keep other stock out from their yards. But it was a beautiful home, a comfortable home. There's stained glass windows on the front, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful part of Tullahoma's history. And quickly, here's what the home looks like today. It doesn't have a fence around it, doesn't even have the woodwork on the front porch like it used to, but it's still there and still a real good home. And this is to say that this is not the end of the story, as somebody else says, the rest of the story, because we're going to be back with some more wonderful things to share with you in the history of Tullahoma. And thank you for watching.
Partners for Healing provides medical care to the working uninsured of Coffee, Franklin, and Moore counties. We are in Tullahoma from 8 to 5, Monday through Thursdays, and in Manchester on Fridays from 8 to 12. We provide primary medical care and offer an in-house disease management program.
My name is Rosie Mitchell, and I would just like to say I am blessed to have partners in my life.
Please call 455-5014 for more information. Thank you for being one of our partners for healing.
Hello, this is Janie Price. When my husband Ray Price would tour across the country, his favorite place to dine was Cracker Barrel Old Country Store locations. His favorite thing to order was the Uncle Herschel.
And the beauty of it all is forever, you'll be holding me to.
I miss Ray dearly, and I'm so proud that his last album, Beauty Is the Final Session, is available at his favorite restaurant.
A love affair to remember.
The project includes a duet with Martina McBride and harmony vocals from Vince Gill. Ray believed this to be the best recording he had ever made.
Oh, I wish I was 18 again.
I think you'll agree when you pick up your copy of Beauty Is the Final Sessions at a Cracker Barrel Old Country Store location near you or at crackerbarrel.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your News Leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Okay, Peggy, we're back. We got 17 seconds.
Is that all?
That's it. Give me your hand. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July.
Keep all your fingers this year, folks. Don't blow anything away.
Exciting.
Be safe,
Exciting
be sound.
times.
God bless these United States of America.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.